I started streaming on Twitch back in 2017 when I was 22. Nothing crazy, just playing video games and chatting with people. I had maybe 50 regular viewers, and it was fun. A hobby that sometimes made me a little money. I streamed from my apartment in Seattle 3 or 4 nights a week, usually starting around 8 p.m. For the first few months, everything was great. My chat was friendly, people made jokes, and I was slowly building a small community. Then in November, a new account started showing up. The username was something generic, just random letters and numbers. At first, they didn't say much in chat, just watched. I noticed them because Twitch shows you who's watching, and this account was there, every single stream, never missed one. After about 2 weeks, they started chatting. Normal stuff at first, commenting on my gameplay, asking questions about the game. But then they started commenting on other things. They mentioned that I looked tired and asked if I was getting enough sleep. I laughed it off and said I'd been working late at my day job. They said they could tell because I had dark circles under my eyes. That felt a little weird, but I figured they were just observant. I had my webcam on. After all, that's what streaming is. But then they mentioned my shirt. They said they liked it and asked where I got it. I told them it was just from Target. They said they'd seen it before, that Target had it on sale last week. I hadn't mentioned when I bought it. Over the next few streams, their comments got more specific. They noticed when I changed my hair. They commented on a bruise on my arm and asked if I was okay. I'd bumped into my kitchen counter that morning, but I hadn't mentioned it on stream. They just saw it and asked. It felt like they were paying really close attention to every detail. Then one night, they mentioned my apartment. I was careful not to show too much of my place on camera. My webcam was angled to only show me and the pressure wall behind me. But during one stream, I got up to grab a drink, and the camera caught a glimpse of my kitchen for maybe 3 seconds. When I came back, the viewer had typed in chat asking if I liked my apartment complex. They said the buildings looked nice from outside. I froze. I asked what they meant. They said they could see part of my kitchen window in the background when I got up, and they recognized the view. They said they used to live in the same neighborhood. I checked my VOD later, and you could barely see the window. It was just a tiny corner of the frame, showing part of the Seattle skyline, but they'd recognized it. I started feeling uncomfortable. I told my chat I needed to be more careful about what my camera showed. The viewer apologized and said they didn't mean to be creepy. They said they just got excited because they knew the area. I wanted to believe that. I really did, but something felt wrong. The next stream, they weren't there. I actually felt relieved. But then they showed up halfway through. They apologized for being late and said they'd been stuck in traffic on I-5. Then they asked if the construction near my place was still going on. They said it must be annoying hearing it all day. There was construction near my apartment, roadwork that had been going on for 2 weeks. But I'd never mentioned it, never complained about it on stream. And I-5 was the highway that ran near my neighborhood. They were giving me details about my exact location without me ever sharing them. I didn't respond in chat. I kept playing my game and tried to ignore it, but my hands were shaking. After the stream ended, I went through all my previous broadcasts looking for any information I might have accidentally shared. I found nothing. I'd been careful. So how did they know? I decided to take a week off from streaming. I told my viewers I needed a break and would be back soon. During that week, the viewer sent me a private message on Twitch. They said they missed my streams and hoped I was doing okay. They asked if I was still having trouble sleeping and said they'd noticed I'd been drinking a lot of coffee lately. They mentioned that the coffee shop on the corner near my building made great lattes. I never mentioned a coffee shop. There was one on my corner, and I went there almost every morning before work. But I'd never talked about it online, never posted about it. I checked all my social media. Nothing. I asked them how they knew about the coffee shop. They didn't respond. I contacted Twitch support. I explained the situation and asked if they could look into the account. They said unless the person made direct threats, there wasn't much they could do. They advised me to block them if I felt uncomfortable. So I did. I blocked the account and set my chat to followers-only mode. I thought that would be the end of it. I started streaming again after the week off. The viewer didn't show up under their old username. I felt safer. But Then I started noticing things in real life. Small things. My coffee order would already be made when I walked into the shop, even though I hadn't called ahead. The barista said someone had called and placed an order for me. When I asked who, she said they didn't give a name, just said they were my friend and wanted to do something nice. Then, my packages started arriving opened. Not torn or damaged, just carefully opened and then taped back up. Nothing was missing, but someone had clearly looked inside. I reported it to my apartment management and the post office. They said they'd look into it but couldn't explain how it was happening. One night, I came home from work and found a note slipped under my door. It was handwritten and said, "Great stream last night. Sorry I couldn't chat. My new account got banned. Hope you're sleeping better." I hadn't streamed the night before. I'd taken the night off. But someone thought I had, or someone was messing with me. I filed a police report. The officer took the note and my statement, but he said without a direct threat or evidence of a crime, there wasn't much they could do. He suggested I might want to move, or at least change my routine. Make myself harder to find. I started looking at new apartments that same day. Before I moved, I did one final stream. I didn't announce it beforehand. Just went live randomly in the middle of the afternoon. I'd set up my camera in a completely different room with nothing identifiable in the background. I played for about an hour. My regular viewers showed up and seemed happy to see me back. Then, near the end of the stream, a new account appeared in my viewer list. Different username, but they sent one message in chat. "New apartment looks nice. Hope you're happier there." I ended the stream immediately. I hadn't moved yet. I was still in my old place, but someone knew I was planning to move. Someone was still watching. I deleted my Twitch account that night, completely scrubbed it. I never streamed again. That was 5 years ago. I still don't know who that person was or how they knew so much about me. I'm more careful now about what I share online. I don't use webcams. I don't post photos that show my location. I check over my shoulder constantly, because whoever that person was, they found me through a screen. And they turned a hobby I loved into something that still makes me check my locks 3 times before bed. The worst part is not knowing if they're still watching somehow. If they found other ways to follow me. If they know where I am now. That uncertainty is worse than anything else. Because on the internet, you never really know who's on the other side of the screen. And sometimes, they know more about you than you ever wanted them to. I was 19 and living alone for the first time in a studio apartment in Austin, Texas. This was early 2019, and I just started getting into in real-life streaming. You know, walking around the city, talking to people, showing interesting places. Nothing big, maybe 20 or 30 viewers on average. I used my phone with a gimbal and just streamed whenever I felt like it. One Thursday afternoon, I was at home editing some footage when I got a DM on Instagram from someone I didn't know. They said they loved my stream that morning and thought the botanical gardens were beautiful. I was confused because I hadn't streamed that morning. I'd been home all day. I told them they must have me confused with someone else. They sent me a screenshot. It was from a Twitch stream, and it showed me, actually me. Walking through the botanical gardens I'd visited 2 days earlier. I was wearing the same clothes I'd worn on Tuesday. The stream quality was decent, and the angle looked like it was filmed, from maybe 20 feet behind me. Someone had been following me during my Tuesday stream and recorded it. Then they'd restreamed it as if it was live. I felt sick. I asked the person who sent the message for the channel name. They gave it to me, and I immediately looked it up. The channel was called something generic, and the profile had no information. No bio, no profile picture, just my streams. Or rather, footage of me streaming. There were 3 past broadcasts. All of them were me, filmed from behind or from the side, walking around Austin and streaming to my own audience while someone else filmed me filming. I reported the channel to Twitch immediately. Then I went through the videos frame by frame. Whoever recorded them had been following me for at least a week. They stayed far enough back that I never noticed them, but close enough that their footage was clear. You could hear everything I was saying to my chat. You could see everyone I interacted with. And in one of the videos, when I stopped to check my phone, the camera zoomed in slightly. like they were using a real camera, not a phone, like they were being deliberate about it. The worst part was reading the chat from their streams. People were commenting on me, saying things about how I looked, where I was going, what I was wearing. Some comments were innocent, but others made me feel violated. People were critiquing my appearance, speculating about where I lived based on my roots, making gross sexual comments. And the streamer, whoever they were, wasn't moderating. They just let it happen. I stopped in real life, streaming immediately. I made a post explaining what happened and said I'd only do indoor streams from now on. My community was supportive and helped mass report the channel. Within 2 days, Twitch took it down. I thought it was over. I was wrong. A week later, I was at a coffee shop, not streaming, just getting work done on my laptop. A guy approached my table and said he recognized me from the streams. I assumed he meant my streams and thanked him for watching. He said no, he meant the other streams, the ones that followed me. He said he'd been watching those and thought it was a cool concept. 2 perspectives of the same stream. I went cold. I told him those weren't my streams, that someone had been stalking me. His face changed. He apologized and said he didn't know. He thought it was planned, like a collaboration. He walked away, but the damage was done. Someone had been watching those stalker streams. Multiple people had, and they thought it was entertainment. I started noticing things after that. When I left my apartment, I'd look around constantly. I'd take random turns while walking to see if anyone was following. I stopped going to my usual places, stopped following routines, but the paranoia was eating me alive. I couldn't live like that. Then I got an email. It came from a burner account, just random letters and numbers. The subject line said, "You stopped streaming." The body of the email was short. It said they missed watching me and asked when I'd go live again. They said I made their day better, and they looked forward to seeing me walk around the city. They signed it with a heart emoji. I took the email to the police. They said it wasn't technically threatening, but they'd keep it on file. They suggested I document everything and contact them if anything escalated. I asked what escalated meant. They said if the person made contact in real life or made explicit threats. I told them about the guy in the coffee shop. They said that wasn't enough because he'd just approached me, not threatened me. I decided to move. I broke my lease early and found a new apartment across town. I didn't tell anyone except my parents where I was going. I deleted my Instagram, made my Twitter private, and stopped streaming entirely. For 2 months, I felt like I could breathe again. I got a regular job at a bookstore and tried to live a normal, offline life. Then it started again. I was walking home from work one evening when I noticed someone walking about half a block behind me. They were holding their phone up, pointed in my direction. At first, I thought I was being paranoid, but I turned a corner I didn't usually take, and they turned too. I stopped to look at a store window, and they stopped as well, pretending to check their phone but still angled toward me. I went into a convenience store and waited inside for 10 minutes. When I came out, they were gone, but I knew what I'd seen. Someone was still filming me. I just didn't know if it was the same person or someone new who'd found me somehow. I took a different route home and checked over my shoulder every few seconds. That night, I searched for my name and variations of it on every streaming platform I could think of. I found nothing. Either they weren't streaming anymore, or they'd gotten better at hiding it. I didn't know which was worse. The idea that they were still out, there, watching me, or the idea that they'd moved on to someone else. I've lived in 3 different cities since then. I'm 24 now. I don't stream anymore, and I barely use social media. When I do post something, I make sure there are no identifying details, no landmarks, no street signs, no windows that show the view outside. I've become invisible online, and I hate that I had to do that. I hate that someone took something I loved and turned it into a source of fear. Sometimes I wonder if they're still out there, if they moved on to following someone else, if there are other people like me who don't even know they're being watched. That thought keeps me up at night, because I was lucky. I noticed. But how many people don't? How many people are in the background of someone else's content without knowing it? The internet made us all performers, but it also made us all potential targets. I still check the streaming platforms sometimes. searching for anything that looks familiar, any channel that might be following people without their knowledge. I've found a few and reported them. Most get taken down eventually, but new ones always pop up. Because the truth is, once you put yourself online, you can never fully control who's watching. And sometimes, they're not just watching through a screen. Sometimes, they're right behind you. I started streaming Valorant in late 2020 during lockdown. I was 25, stuck at home like everyone else, and streaming gave me something to do. I built up a decent following, around 300 regular viewers. People were generous with donations, and I was making enough to cover my rent. It felt like I'd found something good during a terrible time. My donation messages showed up on screen with text-to-speech, standard streamer setup. Most donations were supportive or funny. People would send a few dollars with jokes or encouragement. I'd thank them, laugh at the jokes, and keep playing. It was all harmless fun, until the donation that came through on a random Tuesday in March 2021. I was in the middle of a ranked match when the donation sound played. $5. The text-to-speech started reading the message. It said, "Hey, just wanted to let you know your delivery from Amazon will arrive tomorrow between 2 and 4 p.m. Hope you're home to get it." I laughed it off, thinking it was a weird joke. But then the voice continued. It read out my full address, street name, apartment number, city, zip code, everything. I stopped playing mid-match, just sat there staring at the screen. My chat exploded with messages, people asking if that was real, if I was okay, if I needed to call the police. I ended the stream immediately, without saying anything. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely use my mouse. I checked my Amazon account. There was an order I'd placed 3 days earlier, a book I'd been wanting to read. The delivery date was exactly what the donation message said, tomorrow, between 2 and 4 p.m. Someone had access to my Amazon account. They knew my order details. They knew my address. And they'd put it on my stream for hundreds of people to see. I changed every password I had. Amazon, Twitch, email, everything. I enabled 2-factor authentication on everything that offered it. Then I contacted Amazon and told them my account had been compromised. They said they'd look into it, but couldn't see any unauthorized access in their logs. Whoever got in had covered their tracks well. I didn't stream for a week. I was terrified. My address was out there now. Hundreds of people had seen it. Anyone could have written it down. Anyone could show up at my apartment. I barely slept. Every noise in the hallway made me jump. Every car that parked outside my window made me look through the blinds. When I finally went back online, I made a video explaining what happened. I didn't stream live, just recorded a video and uploaded it. I said I'd been doxxed and asked my community to respect my privacy. The response was mostly supportive, but some people said I was overreacting. They said it was probably just a weird prank, that I should laugh it off and move on. But then it happened again. A week after my return, another donation came through, $10 this time. The message said, "Glad you're back. By the way, you might want to close your blinds. Your bedroom window faces the street. People can see in at night." I looked at my window. The blinds were open. I always kept them open during the day for natural light. But how would someone know that unless they'd been outside my building? Unless they'd looked? I closed the blinds and ended the stream again. This time I called the police. I explained everything. The donations, the address, the comment about my window. The officer who came to my apartment took a report and said they'd patrol the area more frequently. But he also said that unless someone made a direct threat or tried to enter my property, there wasn't much they could do. He suggested I move if possible. I couldn't afford to move. I'd just signed a year lease 3 months earlier. Breaking it would cost thousands of dollars I didn't have. So I stayed, but I made changes. I bought blackout curtains and kept them closed all the time. I installed a security camera pointed at my front door. I stopped ordering, delivery, and picked up my food instead. I became a prisoner in my own apartment. The donations stopped for a while. No more creepy messages. No more personal information being broadcast. I thought maybe whoever it was had gotten bored and moved on. I started streaming again. but I kept my camera off. Audio only, no webcam, no room for them to see anything about my physical space. Then one night, I was streaming and someone subscribed to my channel. A new account. The subscription message said, "Thanks for the streams. See you soon." Normal enough, right? Except the username was my actual full name, first and last. Not my streaming name, my real name. The name on my driver's license and credit cards. The name I'd never shared publicly online. I banned the account immediately and made my channel subscriber only. But the damage was done. Someone out there knew my real name, my address, what my apartment looked like from outside, and they'd been watching me for months. They'd been patient, playing games with me, proving they could find information I thought was private. I quit streaming that night, completely stopped, deleted my Twitch account, removed all my videos, scrubbed my online presence as much as I could. I even considered changing my name legally. I felt like I'd been exposed in the worst possible way, like someone had peeled back every layer of privacy I thought I had and showed me how vulnerable I really was. 3 months later, I moved to a different state, got a new job, started over. I don't stream anymore. I barely use the internet for anything beyond work, and I never, ever connect my real identity to anything online. I learned the hard way that privacy is an illusion on the internet. Once someone decides they want to find you, they can, and there's almost nothing you can do to stop them. The worst part is not knowing who it was or why they targeted me. Was it someone who hated me? Someone obsessed with me? Just a random person who thought it would be funny to scare someone? I'll never know. And that uncertainty is almost worse than the fear. Because I can't protect myself from a threat I don't understand. I can only hide and hope they never find me again. I still get paranoid sometimes when I see someone looking at their phone near me in public, when I notice the same car parked outside my new apartment twice in 1 week, when I get a package I don't remember ordering. That fear never fully goes away. It just becomes part of you, a permanent reminder that the internet isn't as anonymous as we pretend it is, and that sometimes the person on the other side of the screen knows exactly who you are and where to find you.